Hi, my name is Miles Caraker. I'm in my senior year at San Francisco State University, and I'm a cinema major with a focus on sound recording and sound design. This is The Mysterious Warehouse, an exercise in sound design and implementation in the Unity game engine. I recorded, edited, and implemented everything you hear. So let's hop in and take a peek at the game, and I will pause it every so often in order to provide some context for what's going on.
Who closed the gate? They had to know I was about to run the deliveries, right? Someone up in the warehouse has got to have the key.
We were given free rein with voiceover in order to put whatever spin we wanted on the story. As you heard, I went with a bewildered warehouse worker who believes his co-workers are playing an elaborate prank on him. As the game progresses, however, he finds something a little stranger is going on in the warehouse. So first off, we'll hear some light ambience for the large space we find ourselves in, mixed with some positional audio of a fluorescent light and the idling truck the character would drive if not for the locked gate. The footsteps are something I'm particularly proud of. As with everything else, I recorded them myself, but they by far went through the most editing. There are 3 surfaces in the game: concrete, carpet, and wood. After spending a night recording myself walking on these surfaces throughout my house, I took them in and chopped them up so that all the footstep effects were exactly the same length and had the same heel-toe rhythm that you hear and feel when walking naturally. So here's a clue. Most of the story is told through these clues. There's one in each room, and they either provide context or information needed to solve the puzzle at the end. I first recorded some printer paper and found it to be a bit too floppy, so I switched to parchment from a sketchbook that yielded a much better sound. Following each clue, there's a voice line that plays to give the player some insight into what the character thinks.
What do you mean, welcome? I work here. Just open the gate.
So this room functions as the hub for the rest of the game, and as such there are a lot of things going on in it. First off, the ambience is slightly different from the larger loading area that we were previously in, and there are 2 positional audio sources from the ceiling fans. They're pretty quiet because they're not moving very fast and they're a bit distant, but you can still hear some of the mechanical noises. Now we get to hear some new footsteps thanks to the different floor surfaces. This is the only room with a carpet, which I think is my favorite of the 3. Next to this leaky faucet there's a clue which further elaborates the premise.
Another stupid prank. Must be.
With no formal schooling in music composition and no software to make things easier, I had to go about composing the music the only way I could. I banged away at an electric keyboard for a few hours with a microphone pointed at the speaker. After a while I had enough material and imported all my recordings to my computer and edited them into several loops that I could then layer on top of one another to create the final music. My goal with the music was to start with a very simple beat, then introduce complexity, melody, and dissonance as the player progressed through the warehouse and things got more chaotic and mysterious.
No skulls, huh? Seems like a good policy.
The bear reminded me of those kids' toys that play a sound through a cheap speaker when you squeeze them, so I wanted to recreate that effect for the voice line I had it say. I pitched up my voice and applied enough layers to it to make it unrecognizable.
You're getting warmer. Don't get up now.
What is that, a tree? Okay then, 1 tree.
For most of these clues, I wanted the character to be pretty dubious of the whole thing, treating it like a bad joke. This is a small, simple, and quiet but important room. In terms of sound, I didn't want it to feel as empty as it was, so I gave the radio in here some static to play that wouldn't interfere with the music or the voice from the clue.
3 monkeys? Really? This prank is getting stupider by the minute. This is all looking a bit too familiar.
There's an incidental voice line. I recorded about 10 of these, and they play randomly as you progress through the map.
What the heck?
I wanted to have them create an increasing sense of confusion and paranoia at the strange nature of the warehouse. But because they play randomly and in no set order, there can be some very strange behavior associated with them. They can and do play at inopportune times and interrupt other sounds in the game. The switch activates the lights for the whole level, taking some of the spooky atmosphere away and letting the character progress.
Well, at least the lights are on. I'm
now.
going in circles.
Now that we've activated the switch, the lights are on and we can try to make our way out to the central chamber of the warehouse, which has the computers that are the final puzzle. With the lights on, the computers are now active and there's a few different sounds associated with them. The typing is from my laptop and I'm fairly happy with it. The difficulty lies in that overlapping with the sound effect is another effect triggered at the same time. That's the sound of the computer beeping. I'd be happier if they triggered once and then stopped, but they trigger multiple times. This, like the teddy bear and the incidental voice lines, leads to some strange behavior when walking around. With the correct combination of 3 monkeys and a tree in the right order, it'll play the victory musical stinger and open the door for us to return to the loading area of the warehouse.
This is all looking a bit too familiar.
Passing through any door at this point leads us back to the loading dock and switches the music to the highest, most intense level. It also plays the ending voice line, which concludes the game with a slightly confused, unsettled character returning to work.
Okay, guys, you got me. Hoo boy, that was... we had some fun. I'm gonna get back to work now.
And that's it. There aren't any credits or a closing cinematic, but here's a fun trick I found when testing the game to close it out. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed your tour through my version of the Mysterious Warehouse.